On Sapien 2009, thank you so much. That's super sweet. Sending you love. Alright, I am popping on and popping off, as they say. Woo! Hello, everybody. That's a blank screen. Okay, you can see me here. So you can see me here in this shot. Why is that not that shot? Well, that's weird. I'm gonna fix that. You should see me here. It shouldn't just be a blank screen there. 1 second. Hello, Newt. Hello, buddy. Let me see if I fix this. Let me see if I can fix this. Give me a second so you're not just staring at my blank. I mean, it's sexy. Oh, there's a... Why is there like a Star Trek thing just slowly floating? I don't know what's happening. This is so weird. Give me a hot second, everybody. Oh, that's funny. Well, let's try this. There we go. There's my sexy, beautiful face. Look at that. Look at that. Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing today? Hello. Newt was here. Where'd you go, buddy? Everyone wants to see you, Newt. Newt, where'd you go? Did you leave? Did Newt leave? He was just here. Newt. Hey there, my kitty. You are so pretty. So where did you hide now? I literally just saw him here. He was just here, like, at my feet. I don't know where my cat went. He just disappeared. It must have, like, no-clipped out of the universe. I think my cat no-clipped out of the world. I felt his foot while I was dealing with the technical difficulties, and now he's just gone. I think he fell through he just clipped right through. Anywho. Hello, everybody. How is everyone doing? I hope everyone's doing really, really well. Welcome to my weekly chat stream where I just hang out with everybody and just talk about whatever you all want to talk about. Make us all feel better about the state of the world, because the world can be stressful and a pain in the ass. But we are a community together, and we take care of each other. We like to take care of each other and remind each other that we are here for each other, and we like to have fun and enjoy each other's company. So that's what I'm here for. I'm here to dance for your amusement and give you hearts as we talk. And also, super chats are appreciated because they help pay my bills. I've just had to pay a lot of bills this week because of tax stuff, and I'm also working on a few projects that I'm paying some editors to work on. So a lot of bills to pay. So any help is appreciated. But beyond that, no worries on that front. We just hang out and chat about whatever you want to talk about. So, yeah, how's everyone doing? I didn't get to say hi to everybody because I was more dealing with technical difficulties and dealing with disappearing cats. But Maximus, good to see you. Charles, good to see you. Sabrina Nave, Elinor. Oh, Mighty Jinjojo, I saw you earlier. You're watching Infinity Train, which is amazing. Infinity Train is so good, and I'm glad that you really like it. You should totally do a video. I almost considered doing a video essay on season 2 of that show, so you should 100% do that. Let's see. Miss Wicked Wolf, are you going to see the new Mario movie? Yes, actually, I'm going to be seeing it. The reason I'm doing this stream so early today is because I'm actually going to be going from this stream, getting dinner, and then going to see the Mario movie. So I'm actually going to be going to see the Mario movie this evening. So yeah, that is my plan for the night. I'm a lady of the night, as they say, as I will go to see my Mario movies. Is that what that means? That's not what that means. That means something completely different. But I am also that, I guess. Anyways. Oh, is Newt back? Buddy, he's back. He came back through. Yeah, hello. Do you want to come up and say hi to everybody? Come on. Say hi. Hey there, my Newt. Come be on my lap. For some reason, when I sing, you like my company. I think he just thinks that I think he thinks that my singing is like me howling in pain, which is why it comes up. Hello. Hello, buddy. Yeah? There he is. 99 Loops. How is everyone doing today? Oh, and I missed 2 super chats. Let me get to those really quickly. Lily Hazel Eyes, heart to you. You said, so I've recently discovered a German band called Nina, kind of coincided with Todd in the Shadows vid. Oh, nice. And now I've discovered that the lead singer basically went full outright sad now, but I do recommend Todd's video. Well, I'll have to check that out, but yeah, that does suck. It does suck when you, like, find something, you're like, oh, this is a really cool thing, and then it turns out, like, the people who made it or, like, were involved in it were, like, pieces of crap. I'm trying to remember, like, there's been a few of, I mean, obviously, there's the big one that everyone knows, but, I mean, there's been a few of those. Like, I wanted to read, Ender's Game I got into, and I wanted to read that whole series, but then Orson Scott Card was kind of like, oh, yeah, ugh. So yeah, that was sort of a big one. So yeah, it's one of those things that sucks when you, like, find, especially when it's, like, something you just discover, you're like, oh, this is really cool, and then you discover the people are crap, and it's like, well, guess I can't go down that, don't want to spend my time on that, which does kind of suck, unfortunately. But, Jessica, heart to you, thank you so much for your super chat. You said, all hail to us trans Trekkies. Hell yes to all trans Trekkies. We kick butt, especially considering, speaking of trans Trekkies, I have a video coming out tomorrow, but the thing that I'm currently working on, I am finally getting back to my Sex and Star Trek series, and I'm working on the Sex and Deep Space Nine video. That's actually what I was working on today. I was doing some reading and stuff of that. I was reading this book, which is one that just came out based on the I didn't love the documentary. I thought it was kind of like, yeah, it's kind of like by the numbers sort of Star Trek documentary. But this is another sort of, like, great book of quotes, and they have some, like, really good quotes in here that I'm like, oh, those are perfect for this video. So there's some really good ones for the Deep Space Nine video. So getting back to that, and that'll probably won't be until latter half of the year. So probably not until, like, September, October time. But I'm working on it now. So yeah, that is what I'm currently working on. I also have some other exciting stuff. Y'all, I wish I could tell you. Maybe you'll probably be able to know by next week. By next week, y'all probably be able to know. But as many of you know, I'm working on my short film. And we have finally finished casting for the entire thing, and I can't announce who we're cast yet, but y'all should be excited. And next week I will probably be able to announce. We're signing, like, contracts with SAG and all that stuff right now, but we'll be able to announce the cast next week, and I'm very, very excited of who I'm going to be able to work with, because there's so many cool people, and y'all will probably be very excited. Probably about one person in particular, but I'm excited for everyone, because legitimately they're all freaking amazing and so cool. Yes, Brad Pitt, JJ278. That is, you nailed it. You guessed it. You guessed it. Spot on. It's Brad Pitt. No, it's not Brad Pitt. Of course it's not. But it is very exciting. But I'll talk about it next week, when hopefully by the stream next week I'll be able to talk more openly about it. But at the very least it'll be announced next week. Haha, yes, Vera, you do know. You do have the inside info. I've told you off camera. So, from a bullet train to a Jessie gender production, exactly, Lost. Laylene Lost. Apologies if I say your name wrong. Anywho, let's see. Quick, I think I missed a couple super chats. Let me just make sure I catch those. Dr. Hades, heart to you. Thank you so much for your super chat. You said, you were the first person besides my girlfriend I asked to use my actual name in the Patreon message more than 2 years ago, so you were at the very... Oh, you got your Orky today. Dr. Hades. Congratulations. I hope you're healing up well. That's amazing. Well, I am very honored to have been there at the start of your journey and to be here for this next big step for you. That's amazing. Oh, Dr. Hades, I send you all the love. That is absolutely wonderful and amazing. That's so wonderful. And I'm hoping you're healing up well, my friend. Everyone, send Dr. Hades some love, because that is absolutely wonderful. And I never got, well, technically I did with my vaginoplasty, because technically it's Anorky is part of that. But I got other things that were, like, going on at the same time as that. So I know how much of a pain it is to heal from at least elements of that. Probably a little bit more than that, but that as well. So that is amazing. And any surgery is always a pain in the non-existent. Well, I shouldn't say that on a stream. But now you don't have a pain in that area anymore. Just a pain around that area. You know what I'm saying. I'm going to stop because I'm just digging myself a hole now. Anywho, heart to you, Dr. Hades. And Deaxonium, heart to you, said, man, I'm really glad you're updating my trans agenda. It's been weeks since I got my surreptitious orders straight. Yeah, I mean, we were already on the way to destroying the American family. We'll soon destroy all of Western civilization next. That's the plans for this week. By the end of this week, I want everyone to sort of have everything ready to start destroying the entirety of Western civilization. Starts with the American family specifically. Just the American family, because as we know, the American family is the foundational bedrock for the entirety of all civilization. Man, woman, and 2.5 children, unless you're rich, in which case you breed like crazy. And have like 1 billion kids, because of course, rich people are smarter and better than us, and therefore need to breed more, as we all know. I hope, just in case anyone clips this out of context, that is all sarcasm. Everything I just said there was all sarcasm just now. What is funny though, I will say, is funny. It's honestly hysterical. The last stream that I did, was also named The Secret Trans Agenda. The title of the stream was the same title as this stream. And it's funny because I leave my live streams up now because they sort of segment them off on YouTube. And because they're separated now, they stay up, that stream just like started like going up in people's feeds and stuff as like a video or whatever. And the only people who came and commented on that video were like conservative transphobic assholes who like thought that it was a real Secret Trans Agenda stream. And, like, understood that it was, like, kind of joking, but, like, thought that, like, oh, like, you're trying to, like, set us off against, like, the cis folks. They wouldn't use that stuff. They were just like, well, this is why people hate you. I'm like, God, they have no sense of irony or, like, sarcasm. Like, exactly, June Game Art. Bold of me to think that right-wingers understood sarcasm, right? It was so weird. Because it was the only conversation, it was the only, like, comments that I kept getting on that video were, like, people being very angry about the title of the video. It was just kind of funny. Deleted them all and banned them all, because screw them. But it was just kind of funny to constantly only see those be the comments that I got of that video. It's like, it's a stream title. Deal with it, you just sensitive folks. Let's see. Internet Boy, well, thank you so much for your super chat. I appreciate you. And it says this is your first super chat. Well, yes, YouTube is telling me when people first super chat. So congratulations on your first super chat. Congratulations on contributing to helping me out. I appreciate it. It's weird that YouTube celebrates that. But first time in one of your streams, I appreciate your respect your work. You're awesome. Well, Internet Boy, you're awesome. And I adore and appreciate you, my friend. Sending you all the love. Yeah, spooky. It's spooky YouTube. It's very strange. The sarcasm is joke. Yeah, exactly. Oh, their slurs are 100% serious. Yes, I agree, Yellow Butterfly. But like, screw transphobes. It's like they never have any sense of like, well, because they always like couch. This is just gonna be allow me this brief tangent, but they always couch their like transphobia and anti-trans hate in respectability, and respectability is obviously clearly like one of those things that people who enact violence sort of try to hide their violence within. It's like, well, we're just passing legislation against you. We're following the system. It's like, yes, your system enables you to normalize the violence against, marginalized people and make it seem invisible. But like, it's always the videos where I start off with like a joke. Especially like the Matt Walsh videos that I did, because the first Matt Walsh video I did, I have like a joke where there's like a trigger warning page, and the trigger warning has like a trigger warning for Matt Walsh's beard, and it's a very mid beard. It deserves a trigger warning. But like every comment from conservatives on that video is like, well, you're just attacking Matt Walsh. Oh, how dare you? You just start off with attacks on his character and his beard. It's just personal attack. It's like, that's all he does for trans people. It's quite literally insulting us for being trans. I'm just joking about his mid looking beard, It's always that. And then the second one that I always get to is not understanding sarcasm, because if you watch the second Matt Walsh video, it starts off with a sketch where it's like, let's leftists define this thing, and like I hold up a cat, it's like, define this cat or whatever, and they're just like, you can't even define a cat, ugh, leftist. And I'm like, it's a bit. The opening's a bit. It's a bit. like, do you think I'm being serious? The sad thing is they do. They do think of being serious, because like the comical version, it's one of those things. I forget what the law is called, but it's just like any parody of something ultimately just gets mistaken for the real thing because people have no sense of irony or sarcasm. It's just like the version of me that I was parodying, like of leftists and trans people that I was parodying in that video, is their view of actual trans people and left-leaning folks. And so because they're always arguing with a straw man version of us. And so when they see that video, like, oh, this is what they actually are. It's like, no, this is a bit. This is a bit that I'm doing. But okay, it's just kind of funny. Is it Pose Law? Yeah, Pose Law. Oh, thank you, Anya Mains. You are adorable too. Heart to you. Anyways, I gotta catch up on some of the super chats because there's been a bunch already. Esther Jennifer, heart to you. Thank you so much for your super chat. You said, "Live long and prosper. Live long and prosper." Have you read the Locked Tomb series and checked out King Giz yet? Thank you for all you do. Take care of yourself. No, I have not. I will have to check those out. No, I have not read either of those. Or checked out either of those. Those sound great though, but I have not read them. So heart to you, my friend. Oh, so Random Geek, good to see you. It's been a hot minute since I saw you. Lily Hazel Eyes. Oh no, my thing. Lily Hazel Eyes. You just gave another super chat, but then it jumped away from me. There you are. Thank you so much for the super chat. You said, I find it easier when the content is older, but yeah, still unfortunate. Lily Hazel. I don't know exactly what you're referring to. It's probably something I said earlier, but I appreciate it. Chloe Bedin, Marilyn Manson's helped me through some tough times at high school. Is disappointed to find that he's transphobic. Yeah, that is kind of sad, unfortunately. We got his Beyonce, Louis Darden. Yeah, I got Beyonce in there. But Marilyn Manson, Marilyn Manson, obviously very problematic figure for a lot of different reasons. But yeah, I mean, obviously, like the big one for me is like of a creator who did terrible things is like J.K. Rowling, obviously. But there's been a few. I mean, you could even look at like, looking at Star Trek, you could talk about people like Rick Berman and stuff. Star Trek a little easier because it's made by multiple people. So you're able to sort of distance yourself a little bit, but like Rick Berman being sort of a big element of that. Hey, Aaron, good to see you. We were just talking behind the scenes. Good to see you here, my friend. You blew someone's mind by explaining that, Orion said, so you blew someone's mind by explaining that queerness existed. Sorry, I'm just hearing here. Queerness always existed and never had a second. Oh, Carlisle the Cinephile, thank you so much. Oh, congratulations, Carlisle the Cinephile. You asked your partner to marry you, then you. Oh my God, that's amazing. Congratulations, Carlisle the Cinephile. Absolutely, congratulations. That's so wonderful for you. Congratulations to both of you. That is absolutely wonderful. I'm so glad. I'm really glad for that. What was Ryan saying? Yeah, like again, queerness has always been around, and the distinction is that like queerness as like a marginalized identity has not always been around, and what was often in many different cultures, not all, but in many different cultures was an accepted part of existence. Be it gender fluidity or gender non. I hate saying gender. Even the term gender non-conforming is a term that shouldn't even be used because like gender non-conforming refers to like we don't conform with society's expectations of what gender are. And so when you look back throughout history, you wouldn't necessarily call people we would call people gender non-conforming by our standards of gender today, but at the time they weren't non-conforming. They were part of their own society and were an accepted part of their own society. Same thing with sexuality as well. Open sexuality it was a greater thing. And we talk about like for example, I forget who did it, but there was a great video about Uganda. I think it's Uganda's recent ban on homosexuality, which is absolutely horrible. My heart goes out to every one of my queer sisters and brothers and siblings and non-binary siblings over in Uganda who are dealing with that sexuality or gender-based issues there. And but that a lot of homophobia. And again, there's nuance within this history, but like homophobia was something brought over by a lot of Christians who were attempting to convert the populace, and so they sort of like learned that through that sort of form of colonialization. So yeah, it's one of those things where like queerness and transness have always kind of existed, but not in the sense that we think of it now. I mean, even the term trans and queer are sort of like terms that are very specific to our own world today, because queer, if you look at the etymology of the word queer is like strange, different, weird, right? Transness refers to moving across something, transitioning. But those terms are only in relation to our understanding of today. Queerness is strange only by comparison to heteronormativity. transness only exists in relationship to there's a gender identity we're told to have at birth. And so being trans is like moving away from that. But in other cultures, you wouldn't move away from that. They would just accept your gender identity as is in that culture. So even our terms for trans and queerness are difficult to ascribe to these different cultures. Now, different cultures certainly had other definitions of what we would consider trans or queer within their own societies, potentially. Gender definitions being different, maybe even having their own binary structure, but different models of gender. But it's sort of a much more complicated topic, and we've always existed. We've always existed within, like, who we are has always existed within these frameworks. It's just sort of what different cultural distinctions and who gets to define things. Who gets to define the words that we use. It's Matt Walsh always liked to say, like, what is a woman? Define woman. You can't define woman. It's like, well, woman is defined by the people in power who wish to define women the way that they want to, and you have to ask the question, why do people define it that way, and how does it ultimately serve them? Because you can define woman multiple ways, but his definition of a woman, and many others like adult, human, female, is the words that they use, and the ways that they define even those three words are meant to exclude certain people and include others in a way that props up their power dynamic that benefits them ultimately. It's mostly, Christian white men, Catholic white men, and cis men with money, should be even clearer, in our society. So yeah, it's just a constant conversation. So. Let's see. Chris Bodley, heart to you. Doctor Who Commander Dex in Magic the Gathering. Why isn't this $10 to save the money? I need to get back. Probably don't. I love Magic the Gathering. I think it's a really fun game. The Lord of the Rings cards have me very wanting to get back into it, but I spent literally thousands of dollars, probably like $2,000, $3,000 when I was back in college on Magic the Gathering cards. Like, half my money was spent on food in college, the other half on Magic the Gathering cards and comic books. So I always am hesitant to get back into Magic the Gathering because it will be very dangerous for my pocketbook. I have a very, I don't have an addictive personality when it comes to, like, alcohol or drugs or anything like that. My vice is probably spending too much money on, like, nerdy shit. And so that's something I always try to be very, very careful with in my spending, because clearly I'm not very good at self-control in that department. So having something that's like Yu-Gi-Oh cards and Magic the Gathering cards where it's like collect all of these things, it's a bad move for me. It's a very bad move for me. Receding hairline fracture. Hard to you said, I've educated my parents on trans people, showing them your content. Oh, what you do makes it. Oh, that makes me so happy. I'm so glad. Mwah. That's amazing. Oh, that's so wonderful. I'm so glad. And send your parents love as well. I appreciate you and I appreciate them. And I'm glad I was able to help educate. Mwah, you are amazing. 255AD WOT Wheel of Time. You see it? Are you talking about Wheel of Time? The TV series? I like that. I thought it was fine. I did reviews of it over on my secondary channel if you're curious about it. I like if I don't know exactly what you're talking about. I'm hoping you're talking about Wheel of Time, but I'm not entirely sure. Catching up on super chats. Yu-Gi-Oh is where I spent a lot of money on Yu-Gi-Oh. I used to play. They used to have like local Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments at my when I was in like middle school. So I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh in middle school quite a lot. Though I don't remember how to play it at all anymore. Like I said, I used to play it a bunch as a kid. Now, I have no idea. No idea. Call me Lilith. Hard to use. Said the only sarcasm conservatives have is slurs. I mean, they have sarcasm, but it's usually like really shitty sarcasm. It's usually just like their sarcasm isn't really sarcasm. It's just them saying the things that they want to say in a sarcastic inflection. It's like, oh, I can't, like, I guess I don't understand what a woman is, or you could never. I guess the trans is just will try to take over. Or whatever. It's like, yeah, you actually just believe that, but you're just saying it in a weird voice to make it sound like a joke. Like, sarcasm is often the way that we know this, right? Like, sarcasm is often the way that, people in, right-wing spaces, like far right-wing spaces, tries to normalize their hateful bigotry. They'll say something horrible and then say, well, I was just being sarcastic. I think we should eliminate the transgenders. And I was just being hyperbolic and sarcastic when I said that. I wasn't actually being real. So it's sarcasm is how they hide that, and it's a very clear tactic that they've used for a long time. Andre Jones, heart to you as well, my friend. You are amazing. Mwah, mwah. You are lovely. I appreciate you. Raven, heart to you. You said, is ignorance or projection? Talking about right-winger stuff we were talking about earlier. Right-wingers are the most emotional and thin-skinned people I know. By the way, first time super chat for me too. I know it's. They always like say the snowflake thing, but they're the ones that often get very upset at like just the existence of queer and trans people. I mean, like we see this all the time. You just like a queer person or a trans person or hella people of color existing in a work of media in a place of prominence is already something that like sets them off. Like the M&M commercial or whatever, where it's like, you know, or the Hershey's commercial where a trans person was in it and everyone got all upset about it. It's because like deep down they sort of like, for the people are pushing the bigotry, who are generating the bigotry, because they're the ones, and I would like to say they are generating the hatred. That's not to excuse people who espouse the hatred, but the people in those positions are generating the hatred. They know what they're doing by setting people against each other and sort of creating these infighting things. For other people, there's sort of this implicit like feeling like, oh, we're being pushed out for something that we're owed, or the place that we're supposed to have in society. So other people having places of prominence signals to them like, oh, we're denormalizing or attempting to denormalize the white supremacy, the heteronormativity, all of these other things within our society, patriarchy, those sort of things. But ultimately, the system is meant to not really enable us. We are begrudgingly allowed these situations by people who mean well generally, but often don't understand what it means to actually create an inclusive society. And so that's sort of a lot of where their very sensitivity stuff comes from like hateful people, sort of like seeing and recognizing like, oh, this person's taking up space that should be defined in only for me. So. And Anya, thank you for saying my dimples are popping. I appreciate you. Let's see. Catching up. Read Act 12, hard to use, said, speaking of conservatives, I really got back into dying model railroad hobby. Do you think there are any trans model railroaders? I'm sure there are. To be fair with you, I don't know them off the top of my head, because I'm not a big, like, railroad person, though I need to get back into Lego stuff. There's like that Indiana Jones Lego thing and the Rivendell Lego thing. I need to like make those because I feel like I would enjoy like doing Legos where it's like model building seems too stressful for me, but Lego seems like the right level of fun. But yeah, no, I don't know them, but I'm sure there are. I'm sure there are trans railroad modelers. I'm 100% certain there are. There has to be. I just don't know them immediately off the top of my head. So. And Carla Sinfile, congratulate you again. That's amazing. Chloe, that's hilarious. That's hilarious, Chloe. Heart to you said Posey Parker is the new soup Nazi. Hilarious. We should call her that because that's hysterical. That is absolutely hysterical. I love that. Posey Parker is the soup Nazi. That's amazing. That is absolutely freaking amazing. That's great. You chose May 4th, 2024. Oh, Carla, listen about that is a great date. Of course, May the 4th be with you. I don't know why I did the Star Trek thing for the Star Wars thing, but that's amazing. That's all. Congratulations, Carla Cinephile. That's absolutely wonderful. That's so sweet. 255AD said, what movie are you seeing if that wasn't clear? Oh, that's what you were asking earlier. I'm seeing the Super Mario movie. That's the movie. After this stream is done, I'm going to go see the Mario movie. I'm not expecting a ton from it. You know, I went and saw the Dungeon. If you're looking for a great movie, like, I'm sure it's going to be fun. Like, I'm planning on going to see the Mario movie. I'm sure it's going to be a fun time. I'll probably enjoy myself. I will recommend, though, if all of you have not seen it yet, go watch the Dungeons and Dragons movie. Holy crap, that might be one of my favorite big budget movies of all time. Like, big budget Hollywood, like, big name property movies, it legitimately is fantastic. It is hilarious. The characters are so great. It like feels like a campaign. I was laughing the entire time. There's so much clever humor in it, and yet there's also like continually inventive set pieces. Like the action in it is always continually inventive and adorable in some cases. And also the characters feel very, for like as many characters as there are, and as many set pieces as there are for the movie, like every character feels like they have something to do, something to say, and feels vulnerable at certain points. There's a wonderful, I won't spoil the movie, but there's a wonderful scene. Michelle Gomez is a problematic person, but she has a wonderful scene with a surprise little I won't like surprise cameo character that like melted my heart in the scene. Chris Pine, Captain Kirk himself, is so great. Legitimately, I don't want to spoil it, but if you have not seen it, the Dungeons and Dragons movie, I cannot shout for it enough. I mean, hell, and here's something else. If you wanna know some politics stuff about it. Small spoilers. This is like a small thing, but it's towards the end of the movie. They kill all the rich. Like all the rich get killed. I won't say how or why and what context, but all the rich people get murdered in the movie. And I said that in a tweet. I tweeted that I was like, I love this movie. This movie is so great. I loved the part where they killed all the rich. And the director liked the tweet. So I don't think it was unintentional that the rich folks were all the ones that died, and that the thief characters, are sort of like working class thief characters, are the ones that kind of save the day and beat the rich. So just gonna say, the movie's got its politics in the right place. That's all. That is all I will say about that. So I adored that movie so much. So if you have not seen Dungeons & Dragons, legitimately go and watch it, because it was fantastic. It was fan-freaking-tastic. So yeah, I was very pleased with that. It's nice to see, we were talking about like problematic creators who disappoint you. Sometimes on the other end of the spectrum, you have creators who you're like, I think those are cool creators, but I don't really love them. And then they surprise you and you're like, oh, I love them now. So yeah, the directors of that movie, I am very, very excited about. They did Game Night too, which is also a fan. If you're looking for like a good adult comedy, Game Night is also very fun. I laughed my head off at Game Night. That was a fantastic movie too. Let's see. Likes Pockets Jingling. Apologies, I'm going to try and catch up on these super chats here. Like Pockets Jingling. You said, this ally is here for your eventual takeover so long as there are cookies that I'm in. Live long and prosper. There will definitely be cookies. When I take over the world and the trans agenda is complete and I become God Emperor of the entirety of humanity, and we go out and expand into the stars, expanding our trans agenda out into outer space. When that does happen, I will mandate that everyone does at least get cookies. So you have that to look forward to, cis people. At least I will give you cookies in my magnanimous God Empress form. Yes. Let's see. 1 second. Snowy 1985, heart to you. Thank you so much for your super chat. You were lovely. Mwah. Sending you love, my friend. I convert cookies for us cis folks. That sounds awesome. Yes, that is my agenda. Cookies for every cis person. All you have to do is just bow down to your rightful kings and queens and monarchs, the trans and gender non-conforming folks, and we will give you all cookies. That is the if you swear allegiance to the trans agenda, we will make sure that you get cookies, and it'll be a cookie of your choosing. You can have as many cookies of your choosing that you wish. But only one flavor, though. You can't, like, no mixing and matching. You're the ones that said you can only have one thing, so that is your punishment. You get one cookie type for the rest of your life, as many as you want. But if you're like, I want sugar cookies, that's what you're getting. That's it. No take backsies. We're not in a gender fluid cookie situation here. Okay? None of that. All right, catch it up here. Electric Creature said, transphobe tax dollars funded my bottom surgery in February. Oh, hell yes. Doing my part in the agenda. Love you, Jessie. Stay strong. That's amazing. Hell yes. Fuck the transphobes. Take their tax dollars and get yourself some new genitals. You get some new genitals off the taxpayer's dime. Hell yes. I support this completely. It's one of those things that always, like, weirds me out. Is like, people being like, oh, well, I support trans people getting whatever they want for themselves, but, you know, I think they should have to pay for it themselves. I don't like the idea of insurance. Like, it's cosmetic. And what does cosmetic even mean? That's a whole other conversation. Every surgery in some way is cosmetic. Breast augmentation for cis women is cosmetic. These are quibbles in this conversation. But like, they're like, oh, I support it, but if you're cosmetic, you pay for it. So it's like, don't we all understand that insurance is shit? Don't we understand that the insurance companies are all crap and terrible, and anything that we get insurance companies to pay for, whether it be, you know, the government-funded one or a private one, any single dime that we get out of those companies is a win, regardless of what it's for. We should all be celebrating every single surgery and every single medical expense that we get covered by insurance companies, regardless of whether it was necessary or not. And again, air quotes on the necessary. What does that even mean? They would argue that trans-affirming care is not necessary, where I would argue it very much is, because it saves lives. So yeah, there's just a lot of like, it's just like one of those things, like rules for me and not for thee, or however the phrase goes. Emiliano, you said, I still don't get how the American medical system works. Can I have an explanation? Gonna level with you. Americans don't understand how the American medical system works. That's how they want us to work it, because then it makes us not want to understand how to do it. I would actually say Brian David Gilbert actually did a great breakdown of how insurance works, and it is a racket. It is very much a racket. I'm not even joking. Like, go and watch Brian David Gilbert's video. It's really good. It's very funny, and it's a great breakdown of, like, the racket that is insurance companies. And then I think also Some More News did a good breakdown of it as well, of like the history of insurance companies. You know, long story short is you pay money to these insurance companies, like you pay an exorbitant amount of money, and it's always a pain in the ass to figure out what plan you want. And then depending on what plan you're on, and again, this can change, they will pay some of your medical expenses for you, but generally less than what you are paying into them. But you can't get health insurance. You can't get medical expenses without health insurance stuff. And then there's like a certain limit that they'll only pay up till. It's complicated. It's a very complicated racket, and the ultimate goal of it is that they will, you need insurance to be able to get medical stuff, but ultimately you're going to be paying a lot more than you ultimately should. And then when there are big medical moments where you need it for like surgeries and life-saving stuff, they will ultimately try everything they can to deny you and make you pay out the butt. And medical expenses are much higher because the medical companies, like the for-profit hospital industry, which is a fucked up sentence to say, will now charge more because they know they can just charge the insurance companies, and because those rates, because the insurance companies will pay them, and so they up the rates because they don't pay them. But when insurance companies deny stuff, guess what? Those now like hugely inflated prices now fall on the people who don't have the ability to pay for them. So it's great. It's all a racket. We can get into more nuance of it, but medical insurance in the United States is bullshit. And not to say that, you know, public health insurance doesn't have its own problems. Look at the UK for examples of how that can be a clusterfuck in its own shape or form. But the private industry, for-profit healthcare, is a wild Ponzi scheme of nonsense. So it's stupid. Anywho, John Vinnell's heart to you. You said you can actually find more than a little queerness in the Bible itself. Yeah, 100%. And like sex workers, like supporting sex workers, and so much stuff is in the Bible. And people just don't want to look for it. They just like their nice little passages, like, oh, we should not lie with a man or woman, and then they conveniently leave out stuff like, oh, you can't eat shellfish. Like, you know what? I'm gonna go fuck 3 people at the same time while eating some shrimp. So that's how I'll sort of give a finger to the Bible. Jessica Coots, heart to you. Thank you so much for your super chat, and thank you for being the first super chat. Yeah, I appreciate you, Jessica Coots. Mwah, you are wonderful. Carla Cinephile, heart to you. Oh, I already saw this one, but the May the 4th. That's amazing. Congratulations on that. Kawaii Esquire, heart to you again. Thank you so much for super chat. Leon Enriquez, apologies if I said that wrong. I again blame my American accent and being an idiot. I cannot pronounce even my own name. In Mexico and Spain, TERFs have the goal of eradicating gender and follow the facts of sex. They think they are genuine bourgeois feminists for it's missing sarcasm somehow. IDK. Yeah, it's it's when you get to like turfs, and there's nuances within every single country, but like turfs think that they are fighting the sort of gender system that we live within, and to be very clear, gender is a very clear way that the sort of patriarchal system, like the ideas of how we have a gender binary, and I'm actually working on a video on this right now, but the ideas of like a gender binary that we have in our society today is ultimately one that does fuel the sort of patriarchal system, the ultimately the colonialist imperialist system we have, capitalism as well, because it frames things in competition with each other. Capitalism, fascism, they all frame on the sort of like competition between groups, between workers, between men and women. It all sort of is based upon this idea of like we are against each other. And colonialization also is something that was like gender systems were created, or like our current idea of gender. I should say, not gender systems generally, but our current idea of gender came out of colonialization's attempt to justify, like, well, we need to protect the white upper class women from the dangerous beasts that are, black people, and sort of like creating that dichotomy as well. And so, like, when you get to TERFs, they have so internalized this idea of like white upper class womanhood is the only idea of womanhood that we supposedly should have, and so everything else is sort of like trans people are not really women because we don't sort of fit that idealized sort of very coming from colonialization, coming from these patriarchal systems that we've sort of generated in Western society. They sort of only view that as the only legitimate way to be a woman. But by viewing it that way, it does ultimately reinforce this idea of men are stronger than women. It's why you'll constantly see in TERF rhetoric this idea of the dangerous transes who they see as men coming into their space to attack them. But if you like look deeper under the surface beyond the trans people, they have like a sort of like viewing of all men as oppressors, as those coming to hurt them. When in actuality, the way that we need to be better thinking about these things, to better talk about how to break down these gendered systems, is to understand how these systems also harm men as well. We need to understand that these systems ultimately benefit men to getting to positions of power, and how when anyone has a position of power, they ultimately will abuse it on those who they are told to view as their lessers. And so when we place men in that role, they will sort of view women as objects, because we've sort of created that dichotomy, and they will, sexually assault, exploit them in many different ways. But it is not necessarily an inherent male problem. It is a problem of the systems of power that we are creating, that we are propping up through gendered systems. But the very idea of us versus them is the very problem that we need to break down at its core. So when TERFs are talking about like men are dangerous, the male violence in society, and then ascribing that to trans people specifically because we've been the scapegoat that they're targeting. When they create that idea, they're ultimately still reinforcing this patriarchal worldview of the white upper class woman is the only version of womanhood and needs protecting from everyone else by the strong, very chauvinistic man. And so it ultimately does end up serving those patriarchal systems. So that's the sort of thing that we need to understand about patriarchy. We need to understand how men do victimize women in these power struggles, but how the gender system that we have is ultimately giving men more positions of power in our society. But it is that very power imbalance that is the problem, not something inherent to being a man, but just the fact that we live in a society that gives men that power, and it's that power system itself that we need to break down. And yes, it does cause, violence from men towards others, especially white upper class cis dudes. I should even say white cis dudes generally. Just be upper class cis dudes are able to use state violence because the state is ultimately I'm on a ramble here. Apologies, everybody. But like the white upper class cis dudes have like, we talk about how like lower class cis dudes are the ones who are going to go out and act physical violence. It's actually not exactly true. Actually, upper class cis white dudes and people in the upper class generally are actually able to enact more violence than anyone else. It's just they have so made it invisible through things like state violence and respectability that it doesn't get noticed as much as like, young radicalized cis white dudes who aim to have that power. They want to have that power because they're told that they can achieve it, but ultimately get frustrated that they can't because, again, competition sets them against each other and no one can ever win that that game because there's only so many positions of power that they can have. And so they end up getting frustrated, not at the people in power that are creating this power dynamic, but at those who they see as like keeping them down, which are always sort of the scapegoated minority group of the time, whether it be black people, trans people, women, etc. Jewish people, those sort of groups. Anyways, that was a long ass ramble that I'm going to be putting in a much more concise way in an upcoming video. But there you go. If we're talking about the trans agenda, I just talked about it, so hopefully someone will find that interesting. So, anywho, I just rambled a whole bunch. Let me catch up on some of the Super Chats here. Super Desi, heart to you, said, hello, you lovely gal. It's good to see you, Super Desi. It says, I'll try to say this without spoiling the D&D movie, but Chonk Dragon and Best Dragon. Yes, I love the Chonk Dragon. I will forewarn, there might be some anti-fat feelings in the Dungeons & Dragons movie, and in the weirdest of places, I will say. But I found the character who I could understand seeing criticisms of anti-fatness in the movie towards. I found the character adorable and lovely. And I will agree with Super Desi that Best Dragon. But I also understand people feeling like, oh, that might come from an anti-fat place and things like that. Totally can understand that criticism. I don't think they're wrong, but I also think that it's adorable. So it's an interesting one of those questions. It's like the weirdest of places for anti-fat bias to show up, but it is adorable. All right, catching up on some super chats here. I might have missed one because my thing jumped ahead. So if I missed one of your super chats, I do apologize. But I'm here with John Vinnels. You said, just watched the first two Kingsman movie and thought about how both of them are about the use of aesthetic in politics. Yeah. I actually didn't think about that. I mean, the first Kingsman movie, most definitely. Second one I haven't seen in a while, but I could definitely see that. The first one most definitely, because it is kind of all about like the aesthetics of politics and like distinct class warfare. And I love that first Kingsman movie. Not perfect. It is, and it still sort of has but what if good upper class people? But it still is, I think it's like the Kingsman movies are interesting. If you look at those movies through the lens of class, there's some interesting things, especially that first one says. I'd have to go back and like be able to talk about it with some nuance, but I think you could have some interesting conversations about those movies in that sense. It might be a video essay it's on at some point. The prequel film was also weird. I didn't hate the prequel film, but again, it's been a hot minute since I watched it. I only saw it when it came out in theaters, and I haven't really thought about it since. Like, I remember watching it and enjoying it, but not, like, thinking it was anything super special. So, 255AD, ever read anything in the Culture series? Sadly, no, I have not. I know of it, but no, I have not, sadly. Ashley Boots, people are saying, Ashley Boots, congratulations. What happened with Ashley Boots? I just found, oh, Ashley Boots, I hope you're still here in the chat, but congratulations on getting to learn that you're getting your bottom surgery in August. That's amazing. Congratulations. Hell to the yes. Hell to the yes. That is absolutely amazing. I don't know if you're still in chat because that was from a hot minute ago, but if you are, sending you some love because that's absolutely amazing. People saying I should play some TMNT Shredder's Revenge. I know I never was big into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I should be. I feel like I should be, but I've never gotten a ton of time to play them. So I should play and read more of them. Goodbye, Logan Mansion Gaming. It's good seeing you. Okay, good, Ashley Boots. I'm glad you're still in the chat. That's amazing. Congratulations on getting your bottom surgery date. I know how amazing that is. I remember when I got my bottom surgery date. I was working at Starbucks actually. I was working at Starbucks in California. It was the shitty Starbucks that I absolutely despised. And what I hated most about it was like I would get like 15-minute breaks and there was nowhere to go on my 15-minute break. Like there was nothing within walking distance. So it's like I just would go out and wander the parking lot of the strip mall that we were in, and just sort of like walk back and forth for a few minutes just to get out of the Starbucks. And I was taking that walk and I got a call and it was from the surgery place. And I remember being so ecstatic, and just jumping up and down for joy in the middle of this like strip mall parking lot, when I got my date, and then having to go back into Starbucks and do an entire like rest of my 4-hour shift, and I was not paying attention. I was like on the moon for the rest of that day, the rest of that shift. I did not get any of the work that I was supposed to get done. It was really wonderful. It was a really wonderful moment. It made me get through that shift a hell of a lot faster. So that was great. So congratulations. Oki Naptune, you said, how do you like Star Trek Picard Season 3? I've actually been reviewing it over on my other channel. I've been enjoying it quite a lot. Okay, let me put it this way. I really like Star Trek Picard Season 3. I think it is actually really great. It's a distinct improvement from Seasons 1 and 2 of Picard, which I have many issues on. And I think Season 3 is a lot better. I still have issues with it here and there. There are some problems that I do have with it, and I'll save that for my longer video essay I do on it when the season's over. But on the whole, I think it is a marked improvement. I really like it. I'm loving some of the interactions and conclusions to the Star Trek: The Next Generation storyline that we've been getting, as well as some of the new stuff that they've been doing as well. In fact, I think some of the new stuff they've been doing, like Captain Shaw and Jack Crusher in that season, I think is actually some of the stronger stuff that they've done all the season beyond the TNG wrapping up storylines things. And so I've been really loving it. My big problem with it, and my big problem with it actually has nothing to do with the show. It is some of the discourse surrounding it, because there's been some discourse, especially from the toxic bro community. And this no shade, because I actually I've been speaking, I've spoken with Terry Metalis, who writes Star Trek Picard. He's a very lovely man and very sweet, one of the kindest people. But there's been some toxic bro discourse around it that I dislike, in the sense that they're well, Star Trek's back, baby. It's so good. Finally we have a good Star Trek that's not Alex Kurtzman track. And number one, it forgets that there's been a lot of really good Star Trek. I mean, even if we set aside Star Trek Discovery, which I really love Star Trek Discovery a lot, but I also understand there's some messiness around it. There's also very toxic discourse that is nitpicking it to hell, and also some racist stuff in there as well. But I understand Discovery is a messier Star Trek show. I love it, but I also think there's also big problems with it. But even setting Discovery aside, Strange New Worlds, Prodigy, Lower Decks have all been killing it. And yet those sort of get forgotten in this Star Trek Picard discourse that's been going on. And I think a lot of it has come from the sort of toxic, dude bro-y Star Trek folks who sort of see this TNG nostalgia that's baked into Picard Season 3 that I also like. I don't have an inherent problem with it. But see that element of it, and then oh, well, this is a return to Star Trek of old. It's returning to Rick Berman style Star Trek. And I'm but that's not where I want Star Trek to go. I certainly agree that I want some of the elements of Star Trek to continue, in the sense of getting to see some of the storylines of this era of the 24th century Star Trek to continue. Though perhaps with less legacy characters than we're getting. I as much as I love the TNG roundup sort of thing, the one last roundup feel of it, I would like to see a continuation of those stories, but with less of those legacy characters, more elements of what are the Cardassians doing now, what are the Dominion doing now as political entities, and with new people in those roles, sort of the geopolitical story continuing with less legacy characters, though maybe having them pop up every now and then. I would love to see what Ezri Dax is doing. Would love to see what my Dax is doing. But just sort of this sort of discourse around it that is just sort of propped up, because it has so much echoed the sort of nostalgia elements that sort of the sort of toxic dude bros sort of really prop up with Rick Berman Trek, and ignore some of the problems of that era of Star Trek, like Rick Berman's sexism and the sort of denial of places of prominence to many people of many different backgrounds, most especially for me, LGBTQ and queer folks, but to many different people as well, and the bad treatment of indigenous folks too. Let's not forget that one. And so it's just sort of a larger conversation that I think needs to come out of it. But being very clear, that is a discussion of the discourse that I think has come out of it, not of the show, the showrunners, or the people who are on it, because I really love Star Trek Picard Season 3. I think it is very, very great. I'm enjoying it quite a lot. I'm deeply, deeply enjoying quite a lot of it. I just have certain hesitations and issues with some of the larger scale discourse around Star Trek that has come out of Picard Season 3 that seems to have forgotten the amazing successes of Strange New Worlds, Prodigy, and Lower Decks, and also Discovery, and also some of the problems that were inherent in Picard Seasons 1 and 2. Yeah, I think there's some nuances. There's a bigger video essay on there about it. But overall, if you're just talking about Picard Season 3 on its own terms, I love it. I think it's great. I'm enjoying it quite a lot. Would I want all of Star Trek to be like that now? Yes and no. Yes, in some of the ways that it's continuing the storyline stuff. No, in terms of, while I do appreciate some of the TNG, we're getting to see the stuff between Data and Lore finally get resolved. We're having certain legacy characters that I won't spoil coming back and getting to finish their stories. I love that stuff. That is not what I would want Star Trek to become from here on out. But I don't mind it for a season of a show. I would hate it as all of Star Trek, if that makes sense. So. Jack Sheehy, hard to you said hi Jessie. I'm just gonna have to barrel. I'm gonna be forewarning you. I'm gonna try and barrel through these super chats because I need to end the stream in about 10-15 minutes or so I can go to my my movie. So I'm gonna try and barrel through some of my super chats here. Hi Jessie, I just want to say I love watching your videos as they are really educational. Show some really good points on issues trans people. Oh well, thank you Jack. You're lovely. Thank you so much. John, you said, should you up and split your organs or forfeit, and if the big insurance company so will, then a repo. I see what you're doing there. And should you split up and your organs are forfeit, and the big insurance company so will it, then a repo man will come and you're ready for a surgery. Okay, yes, sorry, repo man. I see where you're going with that. Fighting words, hard to you. First live stream in a long time. I missed it. Good to see Jessie have a good time and good to see the community still lifting each other. Fighting words, hard to you. You're amazing. Mwah. Sending you love, my friend. Jack Shelley said, what's the best karma for people like Matt Walsh? I mean, best karma is we never hear from him ever again. You know, they get punished in whatever way, you know, a community sort of would hold him accountable, whether it would be whatever that would look like. It's not for me to determine at this point, but to be held accountable for the violence that he has both stoked and helped to enact, literally leading rallies that have like called being trans genital mutilation, child mutilation, that sort of thing. So he is a horrible man who's done a lot of violence. But the best karma would be held accountable in whatever way that takes place, and then we never talk about him again, and we forget that he even existed, because men like that just don't deserve to be remembered. Sadly, history probably will, because the history is a long line of remembering people in power who caused violence, and that is unfortunate. And it is important to remember the dynamics so that we don't repeat them, or can understand, or if things are starting to repeat them, we can go back and talk about what's happening. It's why I like going back and looking at the history of fascism, whether it be in Italy, Germany, other places, and understanding those histories so that we can learn, so that we can try to prepare ourselves and push back against it as it grows today. But I wish we could do that without remembering, you know, specific names of people, because those men's names should be utterly and completely forgotten, because they don't deserve to be remembered. But that is a longer discussion about how we remember great men of history that I'll also be having in a video coming up that'll be about Star Wars, because I'm doing a Star Wars video that is actually, not about Star Wars, it's about neoliberalism and fascism. Oh, who would have thought? It's not about Star Wars at all. You'll see. I'm very excited about it. Okay, running through the great and powerful Boo. Hard to use. And stop posting our agenda. The Pumpkins followers could be listening. They don't need to know we have a gay today and French Friday tomorrow. Oh, sending you love. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to share the agenda. I'll hide it afterwards next time. Let's see. Bumblebee. I saw one from Bumblebee. Sorry, I'm just running through the super chats here. Bumblebee 790 said, so you're the Catherine Janeway of our universe. Look up Sci-Fi Debris Janeway for context. I need to look up. I hear about Sci-Fi Debris. I haven't watched a lot of their stuff, but I remember Sci-Fi Debris, and I've heard about them. Stay Hump 10, hard to you, said, I love this last episode of The Mandalorian, but I'm greatly disappointed that Lizzo didn't start working. I have many feelings. Stay Hump 10, number one, I didn't know who Lizzo was. I've heard of Lizzo, but I wouldn't recognize her, so I missed her cameo in the episode, though I recognized Jack Black and Christopher Lloyd, because I'm a huge nerd like that. But I will say, I'm glad you liked the latest episode of Mandalorian. That's awesome. I have issues with the latest episode of Mandalorian. The more I think about it, the more problems that I have with that episode. Not all to do with Lizzo or Jack Black or Christopher Lloyd. They were fantastic. I could go on a much longer rant, but the biggest one for me was having a whole storyline set up that seemed like it was droids setting up to rebel because they were being mistreated, and then having a scene where it's like, no, actually, it's not that the droids are rebelling. They just want to work because they just want to pay back. They just want to pay back the humans for building them. We deserve it. You see, we just want to be put to work for the organics as they built us. We liked working for them. It's someone else who's been manipulating us. We would never fight back as a working class and show solidarity and fight back for our rights. We would never do something like that. And that's what the episode, and that episode plays that straight. It's not like I'm saying with like sarcasm. No, the episode plays that straight. And I'm like, when your writing of droids gives me the same vibes as the house elves from J.K. Rowling's worlds, that's a problem. And it's just like I have issues with that episode. And it is led me more and more to be like, three things. One, Star Wars just needs to completely ignore that droids are a working class slave race that are clearly sentient. Just completely ignore it and never touch up on it and just have it be an element of the world, whatever. Or if you are going to talk about it, then actually talk about it in the way that it should be, like Solo tried to do, where Solo started to set up like a droid rebellion, but then kind of played it for a joke, like, haha, isn't that funny? Isn't that character ridiculous? Which is also problematic and stereotypical. But actually start to address it. It needs to do one of those two things. And then the third thing is, if I ever write Star Wars, it would be about the Droid Rebellion. My Star Wars trilogy would quite literally, if anyone ever gave me a Star Wars trilogy, it would quite literally be about the Droid Rebellion. And it would be like, oh, hey, now that we have started to build up our neoliberal society for the 4th or 5th time or whatever it is, let's have this, like, let's deal with these droids and talk about that, because that's a problem. And it would be a droid revolt. Oh, it would actually be about a working class revolt. Shocker. So yeah, that would be, if I ever get to write a Star Wars movie or trilogy, that's what it would be about. And I actually may have planned out a whole storyline for it. One day, maybe, someday, who knows. If the dream... Support Identities, my short film, because Identities is also kind of similarly about that, and hopefully if it gets made into a show, like I hope it to be someday, it would also kind of be about a workers' rebellion as well. Who knows? Who's to say? Not me, for sure. Let's see. Eric of the Internet Heart to You said, why the transagenda and not the transmission? Because the transmission was already taken, all right? There's a podcast out there called The Transmission. It's already been taken. I can't use it. It's just how these things go. I don't make the rules. Let's see. Hajul Mendara Kathara, apologies if I said that wrong, but he said, thanks again for the interview. It was a big hit with her. Oh, yes, of course. We are putting together... Thank you for being late in the show. Oh, well, thank you so much. You were amazing. I appreciate you. I'm glad I was able to do it. You don't need to give me any gift. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Mwah, you're amazing. Allison, you said, you said, I don't have interesting points. Just hello makes me happy that you're still doing your thing. You're responding to this with, aw, yay. Allison, well, hopefully I give you the dopamine. You are amazing. Also, I love your, like, weird spider mouth avatar. It's really cool. Chloe, don't embarrass me. Heart to you. Don't embarrass me again. I will watch it, I swear. 1, hey sis, love you. Keep the good heart. Fight heart to you. 1, you're amazing. Mwah. Sorry, I'm just quickly running through the super chats because it is time where I'm going to need to end the stream soon. Because I need to go catch a movie. Every Fairy Dices, hope is everyone's unable to have a great Friday. You will at least have a good Friday. I'm Oz, it's Friday. My dad. Oh, that's adorable. That's adorable. Every Friday. Mwah. Sending you love. Let's see. Jimmy Nails, hard to you. Is tomorrow Friday the 13th? No, okay. Jimmy Nails, good to see you, smiling friend. Happy belated first contact day. Yes, happy first contact day. You are lovely. Mwah. Let's see. And the great and powerful Boo, hard to you. You are amazing and adorable. Mwah. Sending you love. Okay. I have to run because I gotta go catch a movie, but I want to send you all love, and I'm going to tell you, I'm just going to quick give announcements on stuff that's coming up in case you want it. So... tomorrow, a Star Trek video will be going up. It's a comedy video. Please go watch it because I've been dealing with a lot of hard topics lately. So I know that video is not going to do super well in the algorithm because, sadly, the videos that do well in the algorithm are the ones about hate and bigotry and nonsense, and that sucks. So if you can support me doing things that bring me joy, I would really, really appreciate that. So that video is coming out tomorrow. Hopefully, next week... you will see an announcement from me. I'll post on the community tab. It'll either be next week or the week after, just depending on when all the contracts is signed. But keep an eye out because we'll hopefully be announcing the cast for Identities. I'm very excited. I legitimately am so excited to share that with you. So be on the lookout for that. Hopefully next week, maybe the week after. Probably either end of this month. So you're gonna get the Star Trek video tomorrow, and then probably not until the end of the month or early next. Either the last week of this month or the first week of the month after, you're going to be getting a video about masculinity and trans women's relationship to masculinity. That is trying to understand, again, kind of something we were talking about earlier in the stream about radicalization and things like that. So I'm working on that. I'm also working on a Star Wars video that'll probably be coming out in June. So be on the lookout for a Star Wars video in June that'll be about neoliberalism and fascism. So those are my next 2 videos besides the Star Trek video tomorrow. So those are going to be much longer videos. Plus, I'm also working on identities. So I'm just going to let you all know I'll be doing streaming and stuff. But those are my next 3 videos, and then I'm currently just starting now on the Star Trek Deep Space Nine video that I'm writing. So those are probably going to be the next 3 or 4 videos that I'm be working on, and then some queer and trans focused stuff probably sprinkled in there as well. So just be aware that some of the videos will take a little bit longer than is normal. But I hope that they will be worth it, because you should be excited about them. All right, everybody. I'm gonna go catch Mario. You all take care of yourselves. Mwah. I send you all love. I send you all my adoration. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being an amazing community that allows me to be a weird dork for you. And I can't wait to share with you all the stuff that I'm working on, because I'm super excited about it. All right. Love you all. Take care. Mwah. Remember, you are loved. There's a community here for you. If you ever feel alone, know that there are always people who care about you and love you and adore you, me being one of them. And so never forget that.